It's now time to learn about the invention of the airplane. Let's start with some questions. Who here has been on an airplane? What can you tell me about an airplane? What is it used for? What parts does an airplane have? Does anyone here know who invented the first airplane or when it was invented? The inventors of the airplane were Wilbur and Orville Wright. They were two brothers from Dayton, Ohio, who owned a bike shop. The timeline of their invention began in the 1890s, when the Wright brothers began to study the science of flight. While many others were also studying the science of flight, no one had been able to invent the first airplane yet. In 1900, the Wright brothers began to study how to build an object that could hold a pilot. They developed their first glider and tested it in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And you can see the first glider in this picture here. The first glider didn't work, so in 1901, the Wright brothers built a new model with bigger wings. You can see that in this picture. The second model didn't work either, so in 1902, the Wright brothers made a third and even better model with the data they had gathered from their first two gliders. This third glider was the glider that helped them to design their first airplane. In 1903, the Wright brothers built a powered aircraft called the Wright Flyer. This was just like their third glider, but they added a motor to help power it. On December 17, 1903, in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, the Wright brothers made the first successful flight in a powered plane. This marked the invention of the airplane. The first airplane could only go straight and couldn't fly for very long, so the Wright brothers decided to make a plane that could fly longer and turn, so they developed two more models in 1904 and 1905. On October 5, 1905, the brothers flew their third plane 24.5 miles while circling a field 30 times in 39 minutes. So why do we still celebrate the Wright brothers over 100 years after they invented the airplane? What are your thoughts? So there are two reasons why we still celebrate the Wright brothers. The first is because they invented the airplane and proved it could fly on December 17, 1903. The second reason is that they pioneered the modern practice of flight and aircraft engineering. All successful airplanes since 1903 have incorporated the basic design elements of the Wright Flyer. So we're going to learn about these basic design elements, but first, does anyone have any questions or comments? So this is the Wright Flyer. As you can see, all of its parts are labeled. First, we have the wing. The Wright Flyer has two wings, the top wing and the bottom wing. These wings help the plane glide through the air. The rudder, the two pieces on the back of the plane, when moved, help the plane move side to side. The plane has two propellers on its back, and these help push the plane forward. Both of the propellers are powered by the motor. All of the plane parts are held together by its frame. The original Wright Flyer had a wooden frame, but as planes developed, the builders began to make the parts out of metal, and the term fuselage was used to describe the frame that held the plane together. On the front of the plane is the elevator. When this piece is moved, it helps the plane move up and down. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the parts of the Wright Flyer? So let's finish up our discussion of the invention of the airplane with some questions. Who invented the airplane? How many gliders did the Wright brothers make before they made their first airplane? What year did the Wright brothers invent the first powered airplane? What year did the brothers make their third airplane model? How far did it fly? What is the name of the first airplane? What are the parts, and what do they do? So this is the end of our discussion. Thank you all for listening. At this time, I'm going to hand out an evaluation form. I'd like you all to fill this out and hand this back to me. Now I'm going to give you some handouts. The first is a handout with key points to remember about the invention of the airplane. And the second is a color by number activity that will help you remember the parts of the Wright Flyer. Thank you again for listening and attending this session about the invention of the airplane.